Hey folks, I'm Jesse with Penalty Box Woodshop, and this week we're going to do a full unboxing and review of the Generation 2 Delta Cruzer Miter Saw. So let's get started. I bought my current 12-inch Delta Cruzer during a Black Friday deal a few years ago, and I've used and loved it ever since. It was a welcomed addition to my shop, and I had never even considered replacing it until now. In November of this year, Delta released the Gen 2 Cruzer, and to kick it off, they created the Cruzer Trade-Up event. The first 100 qualifying participants could receive a Gen 2 Cruzer completely free, and all they had to do was donate their current Gen 1 to a local high school that was in need. To say the least, I was beyond happy to get the news that I qualified and was chosen to participate. I found a local high school that was in desperate need of some tools for their up-and-coming woodworking classes, and I'll be donating my saw to them just after the Christmas break. With some help from my little shop buddy here, I got the new Gen 2 Cruzer unboxed and set up. I took the opportunity to talk to him about safety and how the saw operates, but it'll be some years before this little shop helper gets his paws on my new saw. After getting it in its new home, I made sure that it was all squared up and I put it to use. And yes, it was square straight out of the box. All right, now that we got our saw out of the box and in place, let's talk about a few of the features. We'll talk about a few of the features that didn't change from the Gen 1 to the Gen 2 Cruzer, and then we'll talk about a few of the new features that this saw has that my old one did not. So one of the things they did not change is the guide arms. And the guide arms are still very smooth and stable all the way out to full extension, and they still allow the machine to be pushed almost all the way up against the wall and be able to get full extension both back and forth, which I thought was a very unique feature to Delta. Also, I like that you can adjust the tension on these. So you can really loosen them up or tighten them up depending on what you like, and you can customize it for yourself. So there is one feature that is on both the Gen 1 and Gen 2 that I really like. And if you have a board that is too wide for your cut, so you can't extend all the way out and reach it, then both on the Gen 1 and Gen 2, all you have to do is slide these wings off. And place a scrap 2x10, 2x12, whatever you have laying around your shop. And what that does is it is the exact same height as where you remove those wings, and there's a little lip back here. So you can lay your piece down, slide it all the way back to that lip, and then get the full extension you need to cut that piece using this as your bed. It's a really cool feature. It does come in handy on some projects where you're using or cutting wide boards. Another feature that they kept the same that I really like is the bevel locking system on the front of the saw. I like that you can adjust the bevel from right here without having to reach all the way around the back, loosen everything up, and then adjust the saw. You just simply lift the lever here and you can adjust the bevel either way on the saw. Now, one thing they did add, which is a huge upgrade from the last Gen 1, is they now have a shadow guide system. And it's a simple switch just right here on the handle. You turn that on and it's a very accurate shadow line. Now, the reason I like a shadow line versus a laser is that the shadow line's always going to be accurate. It is dead on because it's the shadow of the blade, where a laser sometimes could get knocked off or might need to be adjusted. Delta also extended the dust collection boot behind the blade to improve the dust collection, and they added a secondary trigger for a safety trigger for the saw. So the secondary trigger has to be depressed before the main trigger to activate the saw. So a little extra safety never hurt anybody, and I can really appreciate that. All in all, I think the Delta did an excellent job upgrading to the Gen 2 with the new features. Everybody asked for it. They took the feedback and they added it to the new saw. So I do highly recommend this saw. I purchased the Gen 1. I've now upgraded to the Gen 2, and I think this saw will last me for a very, very long time. So I really appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time.